This is something we've been talking about for a long time leading up to the election. The WHO just declared a pandemic of monkeypox, a world emergency again. Now they're trying to get this world war. We had Trump's assassination attempt. I told you they were going to pull all the stops out to make sure that this guy didn't win the election. And that's what's happening. These people are making decisions every single day in government that are anti-American, and it's to line their own pockets. These people don't believe in the fundamental America, the patriotic America that we all believed in. And I used to be the guy that believed in all of it. And then I started realizing that patriot kind of means a different thing than what I thought it meant growing up. Being a patriot is about standing for what this country should be by standing with the people, what's going to be good for the people, and getting ourselves corrected, because we care about our fellow neighbor, not these politicians. So it's extremely frustrating to watch. And eventually we're going to have to deal with this again. These guys aren't going away. This is going to cost more American lives eventually. What is up, guys? It's Andy Frisella, and this is the show for the realists. Say goodbye to the lies, the fakeness, and delusions of modern society, and welcome to motherfucking reality. Guys, today we have Andy and DJ
cruise the motherfucking internet.
That's what we're going to do. I'm not going to get all the way into the full intro today, but for those of you joining us, this is CTI. It's what we call cruise the internet. It's where we put topics on the screen. We speculate on what's true and what's not true, and then we talk about how we, the people, have to solve these problems going on in the world. Now, we do have a special guest today, one of my favorite content creators on the internet. Very, very smart man, Mr. An0maly. What's happening, bro?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those of you guys who missed his first appearance on the show, don't worry, because we're going to have a better one today.
I want to say, too, just for your audience, the power of your audience, I told you when we talked on the phone, but out of any show I've ever gone on, I just seen instant results, just like thousands of people kind of coming to my page. And, so to everyone listening, it's a tight-knit, real community. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro. Well, look, our people support good people, and they love, critical thinking is a bonus for our groups. Like we have people from all over the spectrum that listen. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't, but that's how it's supposed to be. So I could see why they appreciate you. Now, just before we get going in the show, where can they find you at so that the new people can find you?
I'll just say Instagram, DreamRare, DreamRare. I got everything there.
Okay.
I don't want to plug everything. It's a little obnoxious.
No, you can. It's all good.
All right, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, all right.
I got a couple thousand from a sponsor just to drop their name. No,
we're all about sharing the message here, man. And I enjoy your content. I know DJ does. I know a lot of the people around here do. And so we're always willing to sort of share it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it. DJ tried to bribe me. He's like, "Yo, throw this out." I was like, "No, I gotta."
I saw him over there trying to hug you and stuff. Yeah.
Hey, man, listen, a hug a day.
That's right. Keep the what?
Keeps the thugs away.
All right.
Joe's my ghostwriter.
Yeah. Well, now he's got a microphone now.
Yeah, but like when he doesn't use it, I can claim it as mine.
Yeah, I know. That's your whole secret.
Yeah. Half the jokes. Don't be hoes, guys.
Oh, yeah. Guys, we have a fee for the show. The fee is very simple. We don't ask for you to buy anything, although I do appreciate when you support our companies, but we need help sharing the show, okay? We get censored. We get traffic throttled. Sometimes we get a podcast pulled off the internet. So do us a favor. I don't run ads on the show. I don't answer. This is very genuine opinion content. I don't answer to people. So do us a favor and help us get the message out, all right? That's what we mean when we say pay the fee. So don't be a hoe.
Share the show. Let's get into it, man. We got some hot topics today. Got some great things to talk about. No conspiracies first. I got something I thought was absolutely incredible. And I think, we always look for these temperatures of the society, right? And where people are, what there's words that are coming back now, right? And it's like, are we cool? People are putting their toes in the water, right?
What words?
Huh?
What words?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Huh? What words are coming back?
Say them all.
You know them.
Yeah. Well, I know you know them.
No, but I think it's cool. It's very, very cool to see. So And this kind of backfired, I guess, in like the politically correct society.
Are you going Major League Baseball right now?
I am going Major League Baseball right now. All right. That's not the word, but yeah, we're going MLB. Jarren Duran, okay, had a little slip up a few days ago where he allegedly called a fan a gay slur. Which
one?
Faggot.
Okay.
Now I will say this. Like,
well, did he mean it in the context of the man being gay?
That's what I'm saying.
Or was he saying it like you would say to your friends when you're 8 years old?
Right.
Definitely
like you don't
friend.
have.
He probably
like,
couldn't even see who it was. Huh?
You can be a faggot and not be gay.
That's correct. South Park already solved this issue.
They solved this.
Yes.
All right. Now there was all this heat that he got.
It's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
But there was all this heat he got, man. He got suspended. And like the guy tried to right his wrong, donated some paychecks to charities and shit, right? And like I think people were expecting this massive backlash. And the complete opposite happened. And it's fucking amazing. Check this headline out. Red Sox's Jarren Duran has top-selling jersey after suspension for calling fan a gay slur. His jersey's #1 now.
I've never heard of that guy.
It's kind of funny how like even if you're not a good player, like you just have to say faggot by mistake or on purpose, and you're like a hit.
Yeah,
it's almost like incentive to some ninth batter.
This guy's
to just
probably
be
terrible at that.
Look up bad words.
What's
and be like,
crazy
what can I
is
say to?
just a short time ago, like 3-4 years ago, you said that, bro. You're done.
Right.
Like you're done, bro. And
now you get #1 selling jerseys.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I think it's fucking awesome.
So did he comment on this yet?
He has not officially commented on this just yet. Here's the original clip that started all of this. Here, check this out.
296 with runners in scoring position.
That's pretty fucking funny.
Bro, it's great.
The fan was saying like you need a tennis racket, like a bigger thing to hit.
Yeah,
the ball.
Shut up, you fucking faggot.
Well, I mean, look, dude. This is the natural repercussions of an overly aggressive cancel culture system that's been in play for almost a decade. People are now willing to make the point that you guys cannot cancel us, even if someone says something that is offensive, quote unquote, right? I think we're going to see more and more of this. I think the more they try to cancel people, the more people are going to be like, nah, fuck you.
I heard in the NBA, like a few players have said no homo, and they'll give them a $50,000 fine. But it's not. It's like I'm not gay, but he looks good, and it's not even like a diss.
Right.
It's just like I'm not that.
Yeah,
but he looks good, no homo, and they'll fine him, and it's like. It's not even it's not like he walked up to a homosexual and was like, fuck you for your sexuality.
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't know what they thought they were doing, but nobody cares anymore.
Nah,
Clearly,
bro,
like, it made this guy a superstar.
Yeah, context matters. It just does,
It always has.
Yeah, I know, bro. And we could use the fucking N-word as an example of that. Like, in black culture, it's a term of endearment, right? It's also
nigga.
That's right. Yeah. But the point is that it's context, right? Like if you go up and you say, hey, fuck you, you dirty
nigga.
Yeah. Right. I'm not going to say that. Like,
I got you. No, I feel it.
Listen, dude, I think that if people, I think context just matters, bro. And I think that we're smart enough to know that. And I think society is tired of people being told what's offensive and what's not offensive, which is a good sign, I think, for healthy conversation, whether you use these words or don't use them. I personally think that the word faggot is a elementary level insult that almost every person has used against their friends over the course of time. And, I don't think I've never even really heard it used as a gay
like
attack.
No.
Like I'm sure it does get used that way, but
I heard it.
I feel like it's
I've seen gay people call each other that.
I mean,
when they get mad at each other, like they're fucking, I've seen that.
Fucking faggot.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a pot calling a kettle black.
This is, look, Morgan Wallen got caught saying the N-word and now he's the biggest fucking star in the world.
Great music. Great music.
I'm just saying, people are over the shit. They're over the cancel culture. They're over the overly politically correct bullshit. Mm-hmm. They're not stupid. They're not going to be bullied into believing that, this is super offensive. Anybody that watched the context of that exchange right there knows he's not actually attacking that person for being gay.
If he is.
Well,
I'll tell you this.
even if the guy was gay, he's not attacking him for being gay. He's attacking him for being a
How would he
douchebag.
know his sexuality unless he was gay with the? That would be a whole scandal in itself.
Like, did he have the whole pride shit on? Yeah, okay. All right. But here's the truth. Like, at the end of the day, if you're going to armchair quarterback a fucking MLBer, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's down there, he's playing the fucking game, you're in the bleachers, bro. And you want to, like, shit talk, like, you're a fucking faggot. Like, it is the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, how about you shut up, drink your, $20 fucking beer.
I mean, by that definition, I've been a faggot many times.
Yeah. And that's, but
you know what I'm saying?
You accept it.
Yes.
I've been a faggot before.
Yeah, well, before.
It's like when I do live streams, sometimes people will talk, and you're supposed to be professional, obviously, in the MLB, but sometimes you want to do it just to let them know, like, I'm just a person too. And they're like, oh, I thought, it's like, I'm not a circus monkey just like dancing for your entertainment on YouTube. Like, if you say something funny to me, like, I'm going to say it funny to you. And you're like, oh, whoa. It's like some of these fans, they think they're just going to talk shit. And it's like, he could hear you, and he also has a mouth. So, like, it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, you're a professional. You shouldn't. Look, bro. Everybody, you can do whatever you want, man. This is freedom of speech. If someone fucking heckles you and you heckle them back, I mean,
yeah,
I like it better. I do
too.
It's personality, it's funny,
and I like people calling each other names and shit. I think it's funny, I think if it hurts your feelings, you should grow the fuck up. Sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We can get back to that.
Yeah.
2000s are back, like gaming culture. When you first got a headset,
oh my God.
It's like you would just talk the
most offensive shit ever.
I would pretend I was someone else, have a differerent accent, and be talking shit like to someone in like Alaska. Those were the days, man.
Hey, there's some racist motherfuckers on the game.
It's like 80%. Like I see like watchdog groups. They're like, we still have a problem on Xbox, and it's like it's not a problem. It's just like a good time, like playing Madden.
It's all fucking 9-year-old kids.
Yeah, bro. They're ruthless too, bro. They're fucking ruthless. Yeah, and Madot.
Are you gaming still?
I got banned a couple of weeks ago.
What game do you play?
Call of Duty.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're gonna play a game, that's a good one.
You talk shit when you like have a headset or no?
We got a video.
We all used to play together online, and I got banned for saying some words.
What'd you say?
What words? Yeah.
Fag.
How come your jersey's
Did
not
you?
hot?
Yeah.
You got to get in the MLB, be the star, bro. Make a shirt for him, and like it'll just go. It just like put a headline out that like someone at a podcast said faggot, and then like it blows up. People are like, "That's a patriot right there." Like you don't even know him. They're like, he loves this country. You're like, America. He said that gay slur.
Man. I think it's awesome, guys. Jump in on this conversation. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think. And with that being said, let's get into our first headline. Headline number 1. That's clean right there.
Yeah, that is good.
That's clean.
Yeah.
Headline number 1, let's talk about it. Fox News put this article out. I thought this was interesting. So let's dive into this. Fox News article headline reads, after 3 years of Taliban rule, life continues to get worse in Afghanistan. And so I saw this, right? And I'm like, okay. They dive into it, and they're like, life in Afghanistan has gotten perpetually worse for Afghans living under Taliban rule for the last 3 years as the humanitarian crisis continues to escalate. The rights for women have all but vanished, and Kabul remains essentially shut off from the international. I'm like reading this, and I'm like, I don't really care, right? Like, especially when, our economy's in the tank. Our homeless population is skyrocketed. Inflation's out of control. You got massive companies doing all of these
migrants everywhere. Migrants everywhere.
Migrants.
Fucking
I can really give two shits, right? Like, Cisco's laying off a shit ton of their employees. They're laying off about 7% of their workforce. Intel, they're laying off about 15,000 of their workforce. Paramount Global, they're laying off 15%. All of these things. And on top of that, like we just got this big, massive data breach, right? Where 2.7 billion records leaked in massive U.S. data breach. And I've checked, we're all fine in this room.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the names, a lot of things were leaked in this, right? And I'm like, this is so weird. Now,
you sure they didn't just give yours back?
I mean, it's possible.
Did you check me or no?
It is. I know I didn't check you yet.
Shit.
You sure they didn't?
Nervous.
Just take yours and say, my credit score's too low.
Send it back.
In the back.
This nigga, my payment went up using this nigga right here. But you got that going on, and I'm like, I see this article, and I was just scrolling, like, okay, like who cares? Like, how is this the point? Now, I will say this, and this is something that has been out there, and everybody has seen this, that did kind of piss me off a little bit. Love to get you guys' take on it. But the Taliban, they did this massive parade. This headline reads, Taliban reminds world of Biden-Harris humiliating withdrawal from Afghanistan with military parade. Now, I did see this, and like I said, this definitely ruffled some feathers for me, because the Taliban paraded billions of dollars worth of American military hardware around the streets of Afghanistan on Wednesday near the U.S.'s former air base inside the country. The Islamic extremist group, which is not recognized by any country as being the legitimate government of Afghanistan, touted U.S. military vehicles, helicopters, and weapons at a parade at Bagram Air Base. Now, it's been estimated that we left about $7.1 billion of vehicles, aircraft, ammunitions. There was something about 40,000 military vehicles, 300,000 weapons, and tens of millions of dollars worth of ammunition. And then they released the fucking video, right? Have you guys, I don't know if have you seen the video?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, this clip right here. Check this out.
درنو لیدونکو او د ملي رادیو اوریدونکو دا د امریکایي اشغال د هیواد د ازادۍ او فتحې په دې مراسمو کې د اسلامي امارت هوایي ځواکونه هم پوځي نمایشات ترسره کوي.
These guys don't look too competent flying those helicopters down the road.
Habibi, left.
They're all going sideways.
Yeah, they don't look too solid.
Look
at all, they're literally all sideways.
Yeah. Dude. You think they just climbed in there and they're like, let's start flipping switches around and figure it the fuck out?
Their song was cool, but it would have been cooler if it was like Kendrick Lamar, like, they not like us. That would have been hard. But respect to their music too.
So they have this massive parade, and that's all of our vehicles. Like, that's American tax dollars right there.
Look at those fucking MRAPs.
You have one.
Like, oh, mine's better than that. Those are 4-wheel MRAPs. Mine's got 6.
Yours didn't get left over there.
Yeah.
And then there was another thing that came out about this parade is that, China, Iran, both those countries sent diplomats to the fucking victory parade, right? Where, quote, the Taliban's armed forces towed Soviet-era tanks and artillery pieces through the former U.S. air base in Bagram, where Chinese and Iranian diplomats were also present. The Turkish outlet Daily Sabah, citing international agencies, reported. A swarm of motorbikes strapped with yellow jerry cans, often used to carry improvised explosive devices during the fight against international forces, also rumbled past assembled officials. Now, I put all of that here for this last little piece right here before we get on it. You got all of that happening. Like I said, obviously, we cover the state of this country often. You have all of that happen, and then now, just today, released shortly before this podcast, you have Israel officials now telling the U.S. that we have to strike Iran now, within the next few days. They're pushing for a massive strike led by the U.S. Guys, what do we got on all of this?
I mean, I'll start by saying this. I used to believe, I think pretty young, I kind of saw through some of the wars, and it was really unpopular and everyone hated it and said, you're not patriotic. But you would like to think that there's a level that they care about us, and like maybe it's a necessary evil that we have to do in the world. But when you look at like our food supply, a lot of the stuff they're doing here, the propaganda they're pushing on people that just instinctually, physical wise, mental wise, it's the opposite of what's good for people. It's hard to believe that they don't give a shit about us or our kids or the schools or anything, but they're going to go to Afghanistan and fix that. Like, that's what they used to sell us. So it's just sad. Not only did we not probably do that there and waste $1 trillion, but then we left all the weapons to our enemies that are like celebrating. It's just like, you could list like 10 things. It's like 0 for 10. It's for the greatest country. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, man, look, this is something we've been talking about for a long time leading up to the election. The WHO just declared a pandemic of monkeypox, a world emergency again, yesterday. Now they're trying to get this world war, all right? We had Trump's assassination attempt. All three things I've said were going to happen. I told you they were going to pull all the stops out to make sure that this guy didn't win the election. And that's what's happening. It's exactly what's going on. And, yeah, it's sad, dude. That's what it comes down to. It's a sad state of affairs that our government has been infiltrated and corrupted by people who do not represent the people. They are not of the people, and they certainly, are not for the people. And quite honestly, I think it's pretty obvious to most people who have been paying attention, and I know the people who have been listening to this show or following your content, that, these people are making decisions every single day in government that are anti-American, and it's to line their own pockets. These people don't believe in the fundamental America, the patriotic America that we all believed in. And I agree with you. I used to be the guy that believed in all of it. And then I started realizing that patriot kind of means a different thing than what I thought it meant growing up. I used to think it meant supporting all the military and the wars and we're patriots, but that's really not what being a patriot is about at all. Being a patriot is about standing for what this country should be by standing with the people, what's going to be good for the people, and getting ourselves corrected, because we care about our fellow neighbor, not these politicians. So, I share everything that you said. I agree with you. It's extremely frustrating to watch, and eventually we're going to have to deal with this again. These guys aren't going away. This is going to cost more American lives eventually.
I want to say I always have to say, I don't have to, but I want to be clear, because it's some people are like, oh, I love Russian. I'm not pro-Russia, I'm American.
Yeah.
Iran, these are cultures unfamiliar to me. I'm not hating on them, but I'm not people, if you disagree with it, they'll be like, oh, you support them. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's you look at the Olympic ceremony that everyone's freaking out about. Iran was against it. I'm not saying for the same reasons as America. Russia, all the Russians thought it was crazy. And it's what does America do? I noticed this pattern. It's we're going over to Russia, which is super conservative, super Christian, Catholic.
It's actually more traditional American than America is right now.
Right. And then and then we go to Ukraine, and then they turn more like San Francisco, and then Russia goes the other way. We are fighting Iran, who thought it was crazy that they were blaspheming Jesus Christ, if that's how people interpreted it. Some did, some didn't. And it's we go to these places and we make them more liberal. And even people like Mike Pompeo has used the term liberal world order, which was Trump's Secretary of State. And it's conservatives complain about liberals in America, and you're trying to make the whole world liberal. So I'm not saying Iran's good. I don't want to live there. 70, 80 million people, though. They got Russia, and it sucks as an American, because it's I'm not saying they're the right side, but it's clearly our leaders, Anthony Blinken's going to go there and turn Russia into what? We can't even fix our own cities. So it's just a sad state of affairs when you are a patriot, when you don't want to watch enemies parading around your stuff.
I don't think it represents the majority of Americans. I don't think the majority of Americans want to fly over to Ukraine or the Middle East and liberalize it. That's just our government. And I think we have to delineate that there's a big difference between our government and the people. And the big trick that they've pulled is getting the people to believe that it's the people versus the people. It's right versus left. It's black versus white. It's gay versus straight. And it's none of those things, dude. It's them who don't represent what we want, going around the world doing things that we wouldn't even want here.
Right.
And that's where you get this pushback. And I actually think that's where you get the restraint that you see from Russia and Iran. I don't believe these people are crazy terrorist madmen like the media paints them to be. Because if they were, they would have already been sick of our shit, and they would have been on us already.
Iran's a huge country too. I see some Republicans sometimes, not all of them, not to stereotype, but they'll be blow it off the map. It's not this little place. It's I think there's 80, 90 million people there. And I noticed outside of whatever, some people have a personal bias for race or religion towards certain countries, which is understandable if it means something to you or you're from there. But I noticed with Ukraine, you'll have all these, not all, but a lot of liberals, they'll say it's crazy that we're funding Israel against Palestine. And then you're like, well, what about Ukraine? They're like, well, we got to fund Ukraine. Why? Because the media told me that I had to care about that one, but not that one. And then it's the opposite for the right, where they're like, we can't be funding Zelensky. It's like, we just gave $30 billion to Israel. Like, we need to do that. So it's like through partisan politics, like I said, some people have a religious or ethnic reason, whether it's Christian or Jewish, for Israel. But outside of that, it's like the left understands so clearly that the military-industrial complex is giving weapons to Israel. But so many of them in Ukraine, like, they can't get it because they're so stubborn. They're like, but the right and Putin and Trump, like, and Zelensky, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so close. See, it's so far.
Yeah, it's real, man. It's real, guys. Jumping on this conversation. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think. With that being said, let's go check out some of these comments. Let's go cruise them. We got some good ones here. This first comment comes from at Ryan Valenciano 2261. He says, I am not fucking buying it. DJ didn't go to Mexico. He got locked up for a couple of days for stealing too many bikes. You got me.
That joke will get you locked up in the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Which one?
No, I'll just say what he said.
Yeah. We got another comment. This comes from at HP Jardav 598. Tupac still alive.
Is that a statement?
I mean, there's no question mark.
I don't know.
I don't either, man. I don't know what I know.
He could be in Antarctica with John Kerry and Epstein, but
and Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hitler. Is that a conspiracy?
Yeah.
Really?
Hitler
He's
fled to
alive still?
Antarctica and like lives in the fucking underground cities.
At the ice shelf?
Yeah.
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 Something about that, because they don't let you fly over it. Like, and I read that John Kerry, that's why I said that he's alive, but he flew to Antarctica for the election. And like the news reported that, like, why would you go to Antarctica during the election? Like, I feel like they got some cool shit there. And then they just tell people like, yo, you don't want to fly over here. Like, it's dangerous. And like penguins. I'm like, I like penguins. Like, no, you don't. They're like, they're,
they'll kill you.
They got like a sick like layer there with all Tupac's there, like all the boys just chilling. Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah. MJ.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that? It's like a CNN interview of his friend, like Dave.
Oh, we just covered it.
Dude, last show.
Crazy, bro.
I
didn't
what do you think of that?
Dude, I don't know. I like it.
I think Dave might be Michael.
That was great because he was like Michael was a really soft soul. I'm like, bro, what? That was And I've seen other pictures of Dave. It looked a lot different. And Michael used to like to dress up. There's a story of Akon where he said that like Michael would do it just so he didn't get like media attention or people coming up to him, and he thought it was fun. And this guy came up to him and was like, yo, Akon or Michael, like, he didn't know it was Michael, but he's like, can you take a picture of me and Akon? He's like, if only this guy knew it was Michael Jackson, he's asking to take a picture for him. Jeez. So the fact that he dressed up, I don't know. I think if I had to bet, I think it's Mike. He's in Antarctica for sure.
Bro, Dave. That sounds like a Michael Jackson chosen name, right? Like, Mike, choose a name for your alter ego. I got it.
What's his middle name? Dave? It's Dave. It's like it's his middle name too. No. Yeah, Dave does sound fake. That shit's crazy though, right? Like,
dude, we just covered that on the last show, man. Dave.
Tupac, man. I think Tupac might be down there.
I don't know. I think Diddy took care of both of them.
You think so?
Yeah. I think that's all on Diddy, bro. That's my guess.
Damn. That would suck.
Yeah.
No Diddy. Yeah. No, guys, we appreciate you. We appreciate you for being real ass fans. Keep liking, keep commenting. Make sure you guys hit that bell notification on the tube to stay up to date with the latest episodes of Real AF. With that being said, let's keep this cruise moving. Headline number 2. Got some good news for you guys. From the first official Black Indian woman presidential nominee, we finally have our first set of policies coming through. And let's talk about them. This first headline number 2 reads, Kamala Harris to announce Soviet-style price controls on food under guise of gouging ban. Let's dive into this a little bit. So Soviet-style centrally administered price controls on food and grocery prices will form part of the federal economic proposals U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris will unveil Friday when she finally delivers an insight into her 2024 policies. Her address will mark the first time Harris offers a policy-focused speech since she was anointed as the Democratic candidate in July and been roundly accused by critics since as being a policy-free zone, as Breitbart News reported. The Democratic nominee is promising to institute a first-ever national ban on price gouging and price fixing within her first 100 days in office in an effort to deflect many voters' low marks for President Joe Biden's handling of the economy. So you have that, right? Which is that's communism. Like, it absolutely is communism. Completely destroys the free capital market, where there's supply and demand that affects things,
Right.
taxes. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into play there. So you have that, right? And then at the same time today, when the show was recorded, you got Biden and Harris has their first appearance together in a long time, where Biden spoke at one of her campaign rallies and delivered this, I guess he calls it a milestone or an achievement, where, and everybody's praising it. Biden administration announces results of historic Medicare drug price negotiations that will save $6 billion. All right. And he talks about this, he's cutting costs for all of these, big pharma drugs that, only 8% of the population is even having to spend on. But there's a catch. Okay. There's a catch. And like, everybody's eating these fucking headlines up. Mainstream media left and right, like, oh, Biden, this is a Biden win. But the problem is that the new prices don't go into effect until 2026, which means that all of, the heartache and the pain at the wallets and the grocery stores and the pharmacies, like, people are still having to deal with that right now, which is something that they don't want to address. And so you have that going on. Now, the other issues on this is that, like we talk about quite often, is the inflation. And I saw this video. I thought this was pretty cool. This is J.D. Vance, where he smacks down a New York Times reporter about fact-checking inflation numbers. Let's watch this.
Sir. The New York Times, I wanted to ask you about the latest economic news from this morning, with inflation now being under 3%, the lowest rate since mid-2021. What is your sort of reaction to that news?
Well, I think the crowd reaction says it all. Look, when they say that inflation is down, they mean from a baseline where groceries are already 30% more expensive than they were when Donald Trump was president. And they're not saying it's coming down, they're just saying it's not going up as fast as it was 3 years ago. That is not a reputation or a record to brag on, that's a record to be ashamed of. Why did it take them so long to get inflation to where it is, and why are prices so high? It's because Kamala Harris failed to do her job. So if they want to go around, and this is, it's funny. Kamala Harris, on the one hand, will say, on day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis. And like I said earlier, Kamala Harris has been the vice president for 3.5 years. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, she's in effect been the acting president, because we all know Joe Biden isn't home. So she's been the one controlling government policy for 3.5 years. She says she wants to tackle the affordability crisis on day one. And then on the other hand, she'll say, oh, we've already got inflation under control. Well, which is it, Kamala? Which is it? The simple truth is America's credit card debt is getting higher. Americans are finding the basic necessities of middle-class life less affordable. Americans are becoming, especially young people, are becoming paupers in their own country. If we don't do better, our young generation, they're not going to own anything. They're not going to have anything. They're going to be renters in the country that their parents and grandparents built. Inflation is a disaster. Kamala Harris does not have a leg to stand on.
I mean, yeah, you completely destroyed that guy. So you have that, and then right after this happened, Joe Biden gets a question asked to him about the economy, and if it was by Peter Doocy, who does great, but he tells Peter Doocy that Kamala's economic plan is going to be the same as his, which I think is interesting, and I mean.
Well, he's telling the truth.
He's not lying.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was still doing interviews. I thought he was tapped out,
Yeah.
like he retired.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do we got on all of this?
Well, I guess with the pharma stuff, it's always crazy to me that, both sides, I think, are clearly working for big pharma. But when liberals are like, oh, we're fighting big pharma, it's like, on what planet are you fighting big pharma? It's like they'll give them tens or hundreds of billions of dollars. They'll mandate their products. Every commercial is a pharmaceutical product. And it's like
they're paying for your campaigns.
And yeah, right. They're all getting lobbied by them. Exactly. They're the biggest lobbyist. They're the biggest controller of TV. I think they're keeping the whole television like media alive. But then they're like, we're going to lower some drugs. Like, oh, they're crushing big pharma. And it's just like, how do people believe that?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that more people aren't calling out the fact of what Vance just said about Kamala being in office for the last 3.5 years. Okay. Almost 4 years. You know, she comes on first of all, she's not doing any interviews. Okay. Which is weird. She hasn't really put out any policy until today. The policy that she's put out is much more moderate than what they've displayed over the last 3.5 years. How many of you believe that she's going to go into office and switch from what they've been doing, this aggressive, pro-Marxist, pro-left, borderline communist policy, to some sort of common sense, moderate policy? How many people really believe that? I don't think very many.
I know you as a businessman, like every move you make makes a difference, whether you run an ad or the flow.
Right.
So in 2020, even though it wasn't Trump's fault what was going on and the Democrats were going to be worse, they display it as like he's in office. You don't like what's going on now, right? We locked this country down. Like, you don't like it. Well, here's the new, and people are like, oh, Joe Biden's going to beat COVID. It's like, how's he going to beat? Like, what's he going to do? But since they're doing so bad, they're trying to make it like Kamala's new. It's like she's the vice president. Like you said, all her policies are exactly the same, but it's this like brainwashing tactic of like, Biden wasn't, they probably had all the analytics from everything. And they're like, Biden's not going to win the election. Like we got to put her there and act like she's this like outsider, but she's literally the vice president in the same administration who's going to have the same advisors, the same people, but they're tricking people. Like you said, I think that people don't buy it, but I think so many people are so emotional that it's more like they hate the other side. I'm praying that they're just lying about like polls and stuff, because it's crazy to think that even a Democrat, say like you're a progressive Bernie person, like you think she's got this crazy new agenda. She's literally it would be like if Mike Pence ran and you're like, oh, he's got this revolutionary idea. It's like he doesn't. He works for the Republican Party. He's got the same agenda, probably just shittier.
100%.
It's crazy.
Dude. I mean, look. If she really wanted to make people believe, they would make those decisions that she's talking about right now. They would say, hey, we're doing this right now. Today we're doing this. Today we're doing that. Today we're doing this. And for the next 2 weeks, undo all the shit that they did. And I think if they did that, people would for sure vote for them. And I still think that would be a mistake, because I think once they get back in, they just reverse it all. Right. But I don't trust these people. I think they're fucking communists. I know they're communists. I've read enough about communism to know what we're looking at here. And I think it's funny that she's out there saying, we're going to do this first 100 days. And Joe's like, yeah, whatever, bitch. You're going to do the same shit I did.
Because he doesn't want to like lose credit. Like, she's going to do so much better. Like, that's what he probably should say. But he's like, no, she's going to do the same thing I'm doing. Like, they pretty much just kicked me out. Yeah. Well, dude, I think that's going to become a bigger deal than what we maybe anticipate. Because I have heard through my resources that he is very, very, very bitter about how they handled it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a little more, chirping from Biden.
Diapers swishing. Yeah.
The inflation gaslighting too really pisses me off, because people take it all the way back to like the Federal Reserve when it got away from gold back. But really, like the big kick in the ass was the COVID printing. Like they shut down supply chains, printed trillions of dollars. Both parties did it. Democrats dragged it out for longer. And now both sides kind of play stupid. And I heard Elon Musk talk to Trump, and he was like, it's like government spending. Like he understands how it's coming. It's like the spending. But they all are like, when I'm in office, I'm going to fix it. When I'm like, it came from Kamala, it came from Trump. It's like you guys both printed way too much money. And I remember in March and April when people were like, it's only a few months of lockdowns. And I'm thinking economics. I'm like, dude, we're going to be screwed for the next decade. Like, of course prices are going to go up after what they did. So like now the thing that's going to get rid of it is just like, I'm sure the interest rates and things they're doing, but we'll just like tragedies that have happened, like we'll slowly get away from it, but we're going to be eating this cost and it's not like you could lower the prices. Like they'll print trillions and be like, oh, we got to like gouge prices on tomatoes. It's like, just stop the bullshit.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't have ever even happened and it'll probably go away. But like, yeah, this communist stuff, like I can't believe people don't see that that's why it's all here.
Yeah. I think it's a hard time. People have a hard time believing that. I think people, like when you sit someone down, like friends of mine, let's say, who I know are intelligent people who have done things in the world, who don't pay attention to what's going on in the current events, right? And I got a lot of friends like that. You know, we'll sit around, we're smoking a cigar, we start talking about what's going on. When I start explaining to them like what is actually going on, they look at me like, dude, no way.
Right.
It's like really hard for them to understand that like what we've been warned about for the last 100 years and what communists have been openly saying we're going to take over America without ever firing a shot. That's what they've done. They've done that. And they are in control right now. And we have one chance to potentially, undo that control in this election. But I mean, dude, like I'm just shocked more and more that people, one, don't recognize what's going on. And two, don't call her out for like, you're in office now.
Right.
And I actually think that's why she's not doing press, because if we were doing press and you and me were in the crowd, that'd be the first thing I'd ask her.
Right.
You're up here making all these promises about the first 100 days you're in office. What's stopping you from doing it right now? And she can't answer that.
Right.
And that's why she's not doing press.
Well, apparently she's also like ordered Tim Walz not to do pressers either.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good idea because he looks like a fucking pedophile to me.
Well, so a little breaking news almost, but apparently this came out, because we're talking about communism here.
I'd check that motherfucker's hard drive for real, for real.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of issues with him, right? Like there's some stolen valor allegations.
Yeah. He voted to classify pedophilia as an actual sexual attraction.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, there's some he lied about a drunk driving incident that he had back in like 1995. There's a lot of interesting things, but this just came out. Tim Walz tied to Chinese secret police stations that kidnap CCP critics. So this is a report that just came out that ties between the Chinese Communist Party and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz are becoming more alarming, with Breitbart News senior contributor Peter Schweizer revealing that the VP hopeful is connected to secret police stations that the Chinese have here in the United States. The New York Times best-selling author claimed that Walz, who was announced as Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate on August 6th, is connected to CCP operatives who conduct illegal police activity in the United States. And apparently there's a lot of links that have come out about this, but again, it makes sense. I mean, I think this is like the final.
Well, hasn't he made like dozens and dozens and dozens of trips to China and spent excessive amounts of time there? He speaks Chinese too, right?
I'm not sure about that.
I thought I heard that. I could be wrong on that.
It's weird with like the Chinese communists where like they don't let their kids play with our TikTok because it's degenerate, and they like have them like a wholesome one. And then they probably think Democrats are like disgusting. They're just like, we'll just use these people, because it's an unholy relationship. Yeah. We're like, we both have maybe similar ideology economically, but they're like there's no way China thinks what this guy pushes like socially. They probably think he's disgusting, but they just probably don't tell him. They're like, whatever.
Yeah, he's just cheap to fucking, he's cheap to get. You know, I mean, because all these people are fucking bought and paid for.
Yeah, this guy's a turd.
I was going to say with like Zelensky, when he got in, there was a television show that was on, the Servant of the People, and it made him look like this teacher turned president, and it brainwashed the people like he's the next president. He's going to fight corruption. With Kamala, she's never been on TV, but Maya Rudolph always plays her, and Maya Rudolph is cool and funny, and I think it's like they're just trying to be like, remember those 5 shows we did about a female
the girl
president?
On the comedian?
Yeah, the comedian.
Dude, she is funny.
She's cool.
Yeah.
And she makes Kamala, even though like she does a goofy impression, like Maya Rudolph is a likable character.
Yeah.
It's like hide the real Kamala, because we've had how many shows about female presidents? How many times has Maya Rudolph been on SNL? It's like with Tulsi, she's a cool lady, but they made Tulsi seem like a villain, and I think they compared her to like the Dalmatians villain, like Cruella or
Why?
the villain.
Because of her hair?
Not because of her foreign policy and the fact that she's like better than most Democrats, but
Bro,
it's like
Tulsi
tricking
is
people.
Is badass, bro.
Yeah,
Right, but SNL's like, we're gonna make the bad people look awesome, the awesome people look evil, and then we'll hide the actual people so they can't see them. Because if people saw actual Kamala, like, oh, that's not Maya Rudolph, I think they're going with that Zelensky approach of like, we've had 10. I've seen, even when I go to like LA, like billboards where it's like the female president, female time, and like then they put the female in, and a lot of people are, I don't know if I would say that dumb or that brainwashed, but they're like, oh, this is the time because
it's historic. It's historic. It's iconic.
It's catastrophic.
Yeah,
what the fuck
that's what it
is.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Guys, jump in on this conversation. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments.
I think you have to be a pretty dumb motherfucker to vote for anybody based upon what they look like or what gender they are.
Yeah.
Like, we should be voting on effectiveness.
Did you see Jesse Ventura? He went on the news and he was like, it's time for a woman president.
What makes it time?
It's like, does it matter which women? What if it was like Betsy DeVos or whatever?
Yeah.
It's like, is it time for a woman? Like, I thought he was smarter than that. You know, to just say like, do you like anything about her?
Well, that's my point. Is what makes it time?
Right.
What makes it time? What makes it time? We should, if a woman comes along and she is a better candidate than all of the other people, and she gets the votes, then it's time.
Right.
But it's not time just because this is a woman and just because we've never had a woman. Like, in business, in the United States of America is the biggest business in the world. You don't just pick the CEO because I'm like, well, guess what? It's been white dudes running shit for the last 25 years of my company, so I guess it's time to pick that. Let's go find someone that isn't white and let's just put them in. Like, if you make decisions that way in any area of life, you're going to fucking lose. And I feel like half the population understands that, but the other half is so brainwashed or delusional or enamored by the historic, iconic propaganda that comes around these things that they can't think it through. And it's like, bro, if we're playing in the Super Bowl, we're not throwing a woman out in fucking quarterback just because she's a woman. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And if you said that to people, if you said, hey, sorry, Mahomes, you got to sit on the bench. We're going to put this cheerleader in there to play quarterback because we never had a cheerleader play quarterback. Everybody in the no, dude, for real. Everybody in the fucking stadium and everybody watched on TV would be like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
But when it comes to the country, they don't think anything like that.
Right.
Like, this is not a social experiment. This is not an art club. This is a business that has life or death consequences for millions and millions and millions of Americans and people around the world. So if we're making decisions based upon anything but who's going to be the most effective operator, we're going to get what we deserve, which is to lose.
At your company, you've built it's like so much dream stuff. Like, let me put a basketball court. Let me do this. Everybody's having a good time. 99% of businesses are a disaster because they're not thinking anything like what's cool, what's fun, what's real, what's great. Like this country, I'm a very optimistic person, but customer service everywhere, just everything. It's like, does anybody you're the only person I know that runs a cool business, dude. Everything else is going to shit so fast because they're thinking like, let's just put someone unqualified because of who they, and it's like, okay, now everything's gonna suck. It's more expensive. They treat you like shit. Like, what are people thinking?
Yeah. Well, they I think they think that it's the right thing to do. I think they have empathy, and I think a lot of these people care about people, and it sounds good, right? It sounds good. Give everybody a chance. Like, let people have, but the problem is not everybody deserves a chance. And we have to get back to meritocracy and the realm of what is true and real. And while it sounds good to say, you know what, it would be cool if we could take a cheerleader and put her in Patrick Mahomes' position. That sounds like nice. First cheerleader ever. We could throw a party about it. We can make T-shirts, sell merch, but she's going to get her ass beat on the fucking field. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to lose the game.
Right.
So, like, what's more important, us winning the game or us feeling good about making a decision that isn't going to allow us to do that? And that's where we have to come to our senses as Americans. We got to stop this division of, and this is one of the things I love about you, bros, because you're so impartial. Like, if you believe this over here, you'll say I believe this, and if it's something over here, you'll say I believe that. And we need more of that. We need more people that are critically going to call balls and strikes instead of being cultishly enamored with their chosen party or candidate, right? Like, if Donald Trump does some stupid shit, I'm the first one and you're the first one on the internet saying, that was fucking stupid, right? If Kamala does something good or Joe Biden does something good, I don't have a problem saying, hey, that was pretty good. Like, hey, he told the truth there.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
It just doesn't happen that often.
Right, yeah, that's right. It doesn't. But I mean, I think objective and true opinions and removing ourselves from the identity of belonging to their party and planting ourselves into the identity that we belong to the American culture is the move that we all have to kind of find ourselves to make, if that makes sense.
My mom used to tell me when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to jump off a bridge. But she's like, if all your friends jump off a bridge, don't do it. And she'd drill it into my head. It's like, kids are stupid. Like, you're like 10 years old. Like, don't do what they're all doing if it's not right.
Right.
And as an adult, that's kind of what it is. Because like, say you have like 5 popular podcasters or news hosts and they say something, they're likable. They're usually right. Most people kind of just follow.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if you're following a good leader, that's awesome. But if your leader sucks or they're compromised or whatever, then it's not. So,
and you don't ever know how they're compromised.
Right.
Like, we can't tell which one of these media outlets or podcasters or we don't know who the influencers are, who the proxies are of these candidates because they don't disclose that. So we have to, you and I talk about this all the time because I think you and I are two of the people that can't be bought.
Right.
Right.
Well, I do know some way. I mean, I'm not going to get into all of them, but being in the space, it's like, it's a whole
we've talked about this a lot.
You don't have sponsors because you run your own business, but like, say you had sponsors that were giving you millions of dollars and you knew saying faggot or, you know, like would lose that, then it's like, but that's a small thing where it's not that big of a deal. But like, say it was like foreign policy. Yeah. It's like people, they'll justify it because they're like, I don't have to talk about that. Or like and then it's like you slowly just get bought to where like the real power is in saying like, you can't buy me. You can't lull me in with like a social event. Like, we can do our own cool shit. Like I would love to go there, but it's not like the only cool thing I could do in my life.
That's right.
You know, so
that's right. I get it, bro. We talk about this all the time. I'm not going to trade my integrity for a field trip to Mar-a-Lago. Sorry, guys. Although I would enjoy meeting everybody and shaking hands.
Right.
But if you say or do some fucking stupid shit, I'm definitely going to be the person to be like, why do you guys do that?
Right.
That shouldn't be the way it's done. And honestly, that's the people that need to be surrounding Trump. We need voices of different viewpoints and perspectives surrounding leaders. Like, bro, I don't surround myself with yes people. I surround myself with very smart people who will tell me when we're not doing the right thing or we have a bad idea or something not landing the right way.
Right.
You know, I think Trump needs a little bit more of that.
Well, I did see he apparently just brought back in.
He was firing his campaign people.
He just brought back in his campaign manager from 2016.
Yeah, well, he should have fucking hired.
Who was it? Which one is it?
Know,
You don't know.
I mean,
it just came out this morning.
Yeah.
I think he's firing 2 of his people and hiring somebody back.
Yeah.
Why is he not on Twitter? That makes no sense to me. Does he have like a deal? Because it's like Twitter.
No, didn't he just come back?
He just posted today for the first time, but it's like Trump. He was the best on Twitter.
Yeah,
like he was the GOAT of Twitter. Like even in like 2013, he was just saying so much funny shit. He's like, leave that girlfriend. She doesn't really love you. Like just talking shit to celebrities. Like, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
That's your biggest platform in an election. So it's like, I don't know who's telling him to not go on, but I don't
think
know.
that was his issue, right? Like that's what he was saying. He's like, I want to be me again. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause like he has been
being him as the source of his success. Like he's dude, listen, I don't care what you say about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a fucking boss. Okay. He has been a stud his entire fucking life. And I'm not saying that because I fucking in the MAGA cult or whatever the fuck you want to say. I'm saying that because it's facts. The guy was a superstar in his 20s, a superstar in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and he's a superstar now. And before he ran for office, all hip hop culture, all fucking TV, all media loved this dude because they knew when he went on, people were going to watch. This guy was a stud. And dude, now we're pretending like he's some tyrant. The guy's been pro-America his whole life. Now, does he have faults? Yeah, he does, like everybody does. But
did you see his video with my boy Bryson DeChambeau? He did the golfing thing. Dude, Trump is sick at golf. He hit a birdie,
dude,
which was crazy, and he didn't even care. That was the coolest part. Like I would be like, "Oh my gosh, I did it." He was like, "Yeah, whatever. I do this shit all the time. Like
bro,
I'm really good."
I fucking saw that, and it's the one he hits it with his iron, And he goes, that's going in the hole. And he turns around and walks off, and the fucking ball hits the pin and lands like 3 inches off the hole. And everybody's just like,
everyone's going nuts except for him.
Yeah, he didn't say shit
every day. He's like, it's no big deal. He's like, and then he's like telling Bryce, he's like, yeah, I've won a lot of club tournaments here. Like, it's like, it's just what I do.
Did you see how he went to hit the ball too? Like, he didn't fucking go up there and set up. The fucking ball, he just walked up and hit the ball.
Happy Gilmore.
Like, listen, dude, the guy's a stud. He's a fucking winner. He's good at everything he fucking does. And he just needs a little help around him. That's all.
That's it, man. Guys, jump in on this conversation. Let us know down in the comments what you guys think. With that being said, let's get to our third and final headline.
That clip made me laugh my ass off, dude.
I just loved how he didn't celebrate because I was like,
well, dude, you know what it is, bro?
I've been here before.
That's what I'm saying. Real fucking winners expect to win. When he goes up to hit that ball, he expects the ball to be an inch away from the cup.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like when you expect, that's the perfect example what I talk about on Q&As all the time. It's expecting to win. It's not hoping to win. It's not thinking I might win. It's winners, true winners, people who win all the time. That's their default. So they don't celebrate. Like, I don't fucking celebrate when shit goes right. I get real pissed when shit goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? But when shit goes right, that's what I expected the result to be. And so, you know, this is a little off topic for the show, but if you're a young entrepreneur or a young person trying to be successful, try to work your mindset into that mind frame of I expect to win, not I hope or I wish I could. When you start to expect, the universe aligns with you and you win more.
Guys, jumping on this conversation. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. With that being said, let's get to our third and final headline. Headline number 3. Dude, listen, I have buddies. I know you have buddies in the United States Secret Service. But I don't know what the hell is happening over there. But shit keeps falling apart. All right. Headline number 3 reads, report, Secret Service agent abandoned post at North Carolina Trump event to nurse baby.
That's crazy.
Dude, it's fucking wild. Let's dive into it. A report from Real Clear Politics, Suzanne Crabtree, who small what do you guys call it? Plug. She's awesome. She puts out a lot of really, really good, just truthful information. Here it is. But Susan Crabtree reveals that during President Donald Trump's visit to North Carolina on August 14th, a Secret Service agent abandoned her post to breastfeed her baby. The shocking details come just weeks after a failed assassination attempt against President Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, which has raised serious concerns about the Secret Service. According to the report, 5 minutes before President Trump's motorcade was scheduled to arrive, the site agent in charge of security for the entire event found the agent from the Atlanta field office breastfeeding her child in a room that was supposed to be set aside for Secret Service official work. What they mean by that is if something happened to Trump, a medical emergency, we call them ready rooms, right? Yeah. Same thing I do for you at our, right? It's a ready room. She was in there breastfeeding her baby. According to Crabtree, the agent had no permission to leave her post, and she did not warn the site event agent. Crabtree reported on X, quote, shortly before Trump's motorcade arrival, I'm told 5 minutes beforehand, the site agent was getting ready for the arrival. The site agent is the person in charge of the entire event's security. The site agent went to do one final sweep of the walking route and found the agent breastfeeding her child in a room that is supposed to be set aside for important Secret Service official work, i.e. potential emergencies related to the president. And the article continues saying that not only can a working agent not bring a child during a protective assignment, but Crabtree notes that 2 other family members were in the room with the agent, and the group bypassed the uniform division checkpoint. I really don't know what the fuck's happening over there.
Take your family to work day, I guess, that day. I mean, they're supposed to be the dream team of security.
Not the opportunity for fucking everybody to get a shot.
Which is what this sounds like.
I mean, I think I know what you think, but I want to just ask because it's like obviously incompetence could be a thing because people are incompetent, but it's like with like the ladder that like it just seems like they were trying to set him up. So like, was this lady in on it, or is she just reckless? And whoever the leader is like, whatever, I'll just let my team do whatever because we kind of like want them to do whatever. I have a hard time believing that this is just like some random act of incompetence.
Yeah,
which hopefully not, because
especially after what's already happened.
And the timing. I mean, think about like after he got almost assassinated, and like everything was like Trump's gonna win. It's like we need a vibe shift. Like Joe Biden's out. They didn't even wait like a week. It was like, oh, he's alive. Oh, he's alive.
They
okay,
took
like,
the air out of that with introducing Kamala for sure.
Right. So.
Yeah, bro. I mean, here's the bottom line. The best. It goes back to the argument I was just making. The best of the best of the best candidates should be on that detail, and the best of the best of the best candidates are probably not women, because men are physically superior in most ways, average to average, than women. Okay? That's not saying the woman couldn't do a job of organizing or laying out the event or whatever, but
snacks.
Huh?
I said snacks.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Look, man, not everybody belongs in every position.
No.
And I'm sorry, that's just not what the fuck it is. Like, and this whole attitude that everybody deserves a chance to be a part of the thing is fucking insane. It goes back to what I was just saying. Let's put the cheerleader in for fucking Patrick Mahomes and see what happens. You know what's going to happen. We're going to get killed. And I don't know if this was on purpose or if it wasn't, but it could be, especially after what's going on. And I personally believe that they're going to try to get rid of him again. You know, there's no coincidence in my mind that yesterday, you know, the end of August, we're at the middle of the end of August, we have the WHO coming out and saying, oh, there's a fucking world pandemic of monkeypox coming. And then we got these guys saying, we got to attack Iran right now. Like, dude, they're trying everything that they fucking can. And to think that they're going to not try and assassinate this dude again, that's delusion. Yeah. They're going to again. And anyone who does anything like this, like that woman should be fired for that.
Immediately.
Yeah, she should be fired for that. And
immediately.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. And by the way, why the fuck do you have your baby at a fucking event?
You're working.
Yeah.
The Secret Service. It's like the best of the best of the best of the best of the best, and then the highest level of security. Like that's a dream job for security. You're the Michael Jordan of security agents. It's so serious that like serious doesn't even cover like and you're just breastfeeding a fucking baby. Like that's it's like,
insane.
This lady needs to have like an hour interview just to go through the psychology of like what the fuck were you doing and who allowed you to do that and why, because like that to me is fascinating.
Well, also remember, these people play by the DEI rules. So like if they walked in and said you're fucking fired, this chick's gonna sue them for whatever and people don't understand. Companies have been held hostage by these stupid fucking rules for years and years and years, including my companies, okay? If we don't promote so many of these people, we get in trouble. Or if you don't have this kind of, you get called out on the internet. Well, you know what, motherfucker? I play the best players. That's kind of coach I am. And if you don't like it, then don't fucking use our business.
Right.
That's it. I don't give a shit. If you were hiring me to be the coach of the fucking University of Alabama, I ain't playing people because of you think that they deserve a shot. I'm going to play the people that can do the job. And I don't understand where we've gotten so far off meritocracy that we're just giving opportunities to people that quite honestly are completely unqualified to do them.
At my boy's apartment, they have this old, like really chubby Mexican guy that's probably like 70. And like, not only is he old and chubby, he'll fall asleep watching telenovelas on his phone. And it's like cars are getting stolen there. And it's like, yeah, because people are like, there's an old fat guy sleeping, watching television shows in Spanish. And that's not real security. You might as well just have like a stick there. So it's like, what are people thinking? Like you said, it's like, look at the physical and everything. Like, look at all what it takes to be a great security guard. Like, it's probably going to be mostly men. So just get the best people. Like, I've seen that a lot at shows I've done recently. Just people that are like huge, like very obese, and then like some emergency happens and it takes them forever because they're like they can't get there. And it's like, why aren't the best people not working anywhere? It's kind of creepy. But you would think,
where have the standards gone too?
Well, that's the thing, and that's what makes me like. That's what, like, you know, I've been looking at this, and that's what leads me to believe that this is more along the lines of intentionality because, Trump, there's a couple of different classifications when it comes to Secret Service protection, right? You have like the first tier, which are acting president, acting vice president, family members of those, right? And then you have this category of former presidents, right? They don't get as many resources. They're former presidents. They're not a threat to national security or anything like that, right? So they don't really get that many resources. But Trump's no longer in that category. He's in the middle tier, which is above that former president status because he received the official nomination as the candidate for president, right? Like that moves you up the list, which means you should be getting more resources. And we know that he already didn't have enough resources at Butler. And now, from the looks of it, they're pulling in more of these adjunct agents to come help in and help out. And it's like, have they learned nothing?
Well, why is Trump, if that's the case, okay, then why isn't he spending his own money on his own detail? I mean, the guy's got enough money, bro. Like, you don't fly around on a 737. I mean, bro, for him to fly, people don't understand this. For Trump to fly, look how much he flies.
A lot.
Okay? For him to fly that jet from Florida to fucking St. Louis is probably $300,000-$400,000 fucking $1,000. Okay? He flies multiple flights like that every day. If you fly multiple flights like that every day and you got that kind of money, bro, you could hire your own fucking army. And if I'm being real, he should.
He should.
He could crowdfund it too if he didn't want to use his own money. Dude, Patriots would throw their money. Dude, they'd give him
They'd volunteer to show up.
Say, hey, do this, and I'm going to get my security. He'd have $100 million within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's how much people like him. Did you see J.D. Vance? There was the video of him with the lady that was like fumbling her thing. Yeah. This is the weird part about Trump. I'm voting for Trump. Obviously, it's just like this election's obvious, but it's like even with the Iran thing, like they said, Iran hacked Trump, and he's like, Iran hacked me. And you're like, now you're pushing their narrative. Did they? Maybe. I don't know. But same with that. You're like, he maybe he has to do it because he still has them around him, but he hasn't even really criticized the Secret Service. He's like, they did a good job. Well, it's like they actually didn't do a good job, and you're alive, so he's happy, but like someone got killed in the background.
I'll say this though. I mean, that's a fine line you got to walk, right? Because
sure.
Well, if you look back in history and you look at like how most of the emperors and the Caesars were all killed, they were all killed by their own guard,
the closest people, right? Yeah. And so like you got to be like, dude, like in Trump's case, like you do got to walk that line.
I agree.
If I feel like one of these motherfuckers, like
I'm
about to trash talk them, like it may not be good. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to be careful on that.
And if you do, you better come back later and be like, I'm sorry.
For sure.
We good, right? We good.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what about RFK? After Trump almost got killed, RFK's like, oh, guys, I finally got Secret Service. Like, you want them after that? And after your family? Like, this is the stuff that almost makes me feel like it's a show.
Yeah.
I like RFK. Seems like a nice guy. I like Trump. He almost just got killed. You have multiple family members that got assassinated that you go on podcasts and say that the government killed your family.
And then you want the government to protect you.
Protecting my family that just almost got Trump killed. And he's like celebrating. It's like, after Trump got shot, after them denying it for a year, they're like, oh, Trump got shot? Oh, yeah, you can have him too. I would think they're trying to set me up.
I'm going to tell you this. If it was ever me for real running, we're having our own shit.
Oh, yeah.
And you Secret Service guys, you're welcome to join, but you're going to be helping. You're not going to be doing.
Yeah. But here's the other thing with all of this stuff going on, right? You know, there's a lot of possibilities. I don't think that another assassination attempt is off the table. But here is one thing that is starting to come back around that just made headlines today, that apparently there are preparations being made for Trump to be sentenced to prison on September 18th. So
that'd guarantee a win.
Guarantee a win, but there would also be a way for, to put him up. And, we know what happened with Epstein. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like
right.
Yeah, it's not like the Secret Service in there is going to protect them.
Or
they'll be breastfeeding their babies.
Third option, he wins, and they're like, but, and then use that as like a coup attempt of like, we can't let the criminal in, and like.
That's super possible.
Super possible, man.
All of it.
The bottom line, dude, is that we have to recognize that these people they fully believe, this is where it's dangerous, okay? These people fully believe with their entire hearts, souls, and minds. I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm not talking people that are in with the World Economic Forum or in the quote-unquote cabal. I'm talking about the people. I'm talking about our neighbors. These people who don't like Trump, they are fanatical to the point where they truly believe in their soul that dude is Hitler,
Right.
And so if you truly believed in your soul that you thought, you know, and there's a lot of Hitler discussions that could be had. I'm not going to fucking do that today. But if you truly believed this man was the second coming of what you've been told the most evil person that ever existed was, what would you be willing to do to stop it? And you'd be willing to do anything to stop it. And then when you combine that with the criminal element of the corrupt politicians and how much shit they've done over the last 4 years, especially with COVID, that was crimes against humanity. When you think about the accountability that they're facing, what are they willing to do to make sure that he doesn't get in office? And the answer again is anything. So we're dealing with two groups of people whose motivation is aligned, even if the reason for that motivation is not entirely aligned. And that's very dangerous because, you know, like we saw this after Trump got shot at, right? After he got shot. How many of these people were like, fuck, I can't believe he didn't die.
Don't miss next time.
Bro, they're happy about that. And remember, these are the same fucking people that during COVID wanted you in a fucking camp. Okay? America cannot allow these people to continue to be in any sort of power position. And the only reason they're in a power position is because all of the good leaders, all of the smart, intelligent, best and brightest Americans for the last 20 years have gone into business or they've done other things. And we've taken our eye off the ball, off of our duty as an American citizen to watch out and participate in our government system. Right. So, you know, this is how I see this is like a bunch of fucking communist nerds got in and now they're losing power. They're losing public trust. They're grasping at straws to hang in when the rest of the world has now woken up and been like, whoa, we see you, dude.
Right.
We see what you're doing. And so these people are nervous. They're scared. And I don't think anything is off the table of what they're capable of. And I think thinking so could be a very dangerous mistake.
100%, man. Now, speaking of, security and, justice and keeping things in check, we got something very, very important that's coming up in 2 days, one day from when you guys are listening. And that's the DNC convention. Let's check in on and see what's happening there. This headline reads, Chicago braces for chaos. Courtrooms prepared for mass arrest as Chicago police expect as many as 100,000 pro-Palestinian protesters during the DNC. So they're going to call this the Chicago insurrection? What do you think they're going to call it? Let's check in on this. So quickly here, the 2024 DNC is scheduled to take place from August 19th, 2024 to August 22nd. The event, again, being held in Chicago. The convention is expected to celebrate Kamala Harris as the presumptive Democratic nominee for president and Tim Walz as the nominee for vice president. However, the city is bracing for what could be a perfect storm of chaos, with the possibility of up to 100,000 pro-Hamas protesters flooding the streets. The Chicago Police Department is preparing for the worst. Now, they've done a lot of different things in preparation for this. And they're saying, but the intelligence they have on the ground is saying that there's like 150 different organizations that from around the country that have formed this collective, mass, protest, and that are booking rooms and, rental vehicles are up and all of these things are up. And that's how they're putting out their expectations. And so they have prepared 30 courtrooms. They have put in place transportation lines and systems to put these people together, and saying that the defunct courtrooms and the stations, they can once they're done there, they can hold about 100 people per courtroom to kind of process them and move them out. In a statement, they said, quote, "For anyone who is charged with an act of violence, they may not be released as quickly. So there are consequences for a rearrest and violating the conditions of release." Marubio, who's a spokesperson for the city of Chicago, said. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Do you guys remember a couple of months ago where we covered, the laws of Illinois and how they were changing? It's interesting because that's now backfiring on them.
Which part?
Well, so they passed, the state of Illinois has passed the Safety Act, right? And they also had another act that they passed called the Pretrial Fairness Act that was put in place to help criminals stay out of jail, right? And it's very likely that it's going to violate those acts that were put in place by the governor. The same act that also, removed the cash bail system for things like second-degree murder, aggravated battery, arson, drug-induced homicide, kidnapping, burglary, robbery, intimidation, aggravated fleeing and eluding, like all of the things that,
Drug-induced homicide, no bail, or no, they don't have to post bond.
Second-degree murder, no bond.
So you get in a fight and you're in a fucking fit of rage and you fucking stab a dude in the throat. You don't even go to jail.
No bond.
This is why there's so much crime in these cities. It's
and that's
really
just for
bad.
the entire state of Illinois. And
so when that motherfucker fucking stabbed me in the fucking face, they would have just let him go on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking insane, dude.
Told him to get a lawyer or something and come back.
Yeah.
Like, come back.
And so by them putting out these plans, saying how they're going to be holding people and 30 court, it's completely in violation with the same things that those very same people set up.
Well, it's different when they have to experience it.
It's rules for thee.
That's right.
Rules for thee. And it's so funny, man, because it's like these are the same exact prosecutors, that set this shit up that was paid for by George Soros, who's now also officially, for all of those out there, Andy, obviously a little An0maly action. It's now official. We can say that George Soros officially has funded all of these same prosecutors. That's now being announced. Guys, what do we got on this?
I'll say this watching, because a lot of mainstream conservative media, I think they have a bias on the topic of Israel, so they report it differently because they're pushing in a direction, which is fine. But I feel like they're missing, and a lot of people are missing what's really going on. And I've been watching it where I think there's two sects of Democrats. I'll call some the Bolsheviks, just straight up socialists. They're Bernie, pro-Palestine. And then you have the Zionists. A lot of the bigwigs are pro-Israel. They don't mind when the Bolsheviks are doing communist stuff as long as they don't cross the line of Israel. Donors like the Bill Ackman types, they were funding these universities.
No,
and stuff
they
like
encourage
that
it
for so long.
Yeah.
But then when they realize the kids are pro-Israel, they
encourage
freak
it.
out. Absolutely.
They encourage it everywhere else but Israel because they know it weakens everybody else except them.
Right. But now that they realize the monster that they've created, it's this thing where they're passing all these laws that are terrible for America, terrible for cities, terrible for everybody. But they would use them for that. But are they going to be able to? Because it's this topic we would use it on. It's well, why'd you pass it then? So it's the most fascinating thing because Kamala, the right-wing media will say Kamala's pro-Palestine. She's a Hamas or whatever, pro-Hamas. But it's she's trying to balance the book. She needs the votes from the people who are sympathetic to Palestine. But all the bigwigs in the Democratic Party, a lot of them support Israel. Biden's still giving weapons to Israel, but he's just trying to pretend like he's not because half his voting base hates him. So it's just it's a great, it's bad, but it's a great position for the right to sit back and watch. How are they going to handle these monsters that they've created? They fed them so much bullshit, and now they're wait, they don't like the country. You thought they were going to like that country? They don't like anything. They don't even like themselves. They don't like their parents.
Yeah, they don't like you.
Oh, and they're going to love Israel, but they just hate everything else.
You guys created an army of people that don't contribute, don't build, don't care about anything but making themselves relevant by throwing temper tantrums. These kids got 57th place trophies growing up. They never had to work for shit. They never got told no. They got told you're a special little delicate flower by every single fucking person that ever knew them in their entire life. They got told they could be a man when they're a woman and a woman when they're a man. These people think they can do fucking anything. And then the people who made them are surprised when those people turn on them. Motherfucker, it's going to be super interesting because, dude, this could be very dangerous for them. I mean, that's a lot of people, 100,000 people. And these people have shown to be violent. They have shown themselves to be destructive, and they're going to be violent and destructive. That's what they do because they've never been taught repercussions of anything in their life. None of these people, not a single one ever, has been punched in the fucking mouth for saying or doing anything, okay? And when we look at what's about to happen, what I think, first of all, I think it's perfect karma, right?
It is beautiful to see.
It is. I like seeing it
Yeah.
because it's fun to see them scramble against the people they made, right?
Mm-hmm.
These people were their friends during BLM. These people were their friends during, all these other COVID. But now
The
these
hand
people,
that fed them is getting bit.
right? But dude, like think about this though. There's a lot of people, way more than 100,000 that are fucking pissed at Israel and are just as humanitarians are like, bro, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Those people are not going to vote for fucking Kamala.
Right.
And that's a huge part of their fucking base.
Right.
So they're in the shit here for sure.
It's a confusing topic too, because I've dove into it for years, and I mean I've got falsely called anti-Semitic so many times because I've figured this out early on, just not following the crowd. I'll give you like one example. Alan Dershowitz, he's on Fox News, and a lot of he's a lawyer, but he's actually a Democrat, and I only know this because I saw him make a video like this year, and he said I've been a Democrat my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm considering being a Republican because they're pro-Hamas, and it's like okay. That's fine. You're an American. But the border didn't make you want to be a Republican. Nothing else. None of the other stuff in the last standard. Only the Israel part. So that kind of shows me that that's the most important topic, Tim.
For sure.
Okay. But then here's the thing: is he also was in the picture when Trump signed the anti-Semitism laws, and they all do, where you can't say a Jewish American has loyalty to Israel. So it's like you're telling people that that's more important. Even a lot of these big donors, it's more important than any other topic. You'll fund liberalism until they cross that line. You have the right to do that, but you can't say it's hate speech when someone realizes that that's your main priority. Like everyone has a priority, but that's a lot of the backlash too, where it's like the war has created a lot of enemies worldwide and a lot of people, even on the right, that are upset with it. But these speech laws that only like Charlie Kirk and people started talking about this year, but they've actually been being passed for a while all over the world. It's not that like you can't stop hate by stopping speech, and also it says you can't say any person of that ethnicity or religion has loyalty to the country. Not everyone does. I would never say that.
Well, it's not true.
But some do.
That's right. It's not true.
Just like with George Soros or this, like they all have a different thing, but you can't write this blanket thing to say like don't say this. So I think like all of these policies, God, nature, the truth, like it always wins over time. So it's like now you have the Democratic Party. They fucked up all the kids. The kids hate them. They're passing laws on both sides that don't. Trump even says if you're a Jewish American and you vote Democrats, you're crazy.
Yeah.
He has the right to say that, but he passed a law that says that that's anti-Semitic. Because you can't tell people, So it's just like funny watching this all melt down. I mean, it's really messed up because it's a war and it's sad. But it's like I don't feel bad for the Democrats. They're lying about everything. So now they got 100,000 pissed off people that don't know what they're doing and they hate them. But they're trying to act like they're not. And then the right's like, oh, they're this. And it's like, I almost think like, yeah, of course, report it, but let them handle it and just shine a spotlight on it.
Yeah.
Be like, this is the monster you've created. Yeah, like what are that's going to be fascinating. If 100,000 people show up, that's primetime TV. That's a January 6th vibes. I'm not rooting for it, but it's like, what are they going to do? Those kids are going to go nuts.
That's what I'm saying. Do we call that an insurrection?
And then how are they going to arrest them if they pass laws? Isn't that wild? They pass laws that they can't do that, but then they're like, we want to do it for this.
Got to do it for this,
Well,
though.
you shouldn't have passed that stupid shit.
I think the key thing that you said in there, and I'm glad you said it, is that you can't make blanket statements about certain ethnicities, right? Like you can't, like, dude, this is the reason that the anti-Semitic thing gets thrown around so much. And the reason that you can't effectively criticize the Jewish people who happen to be in power in making these decisions, because people keep saying, like on Twitter and everywhere, they say the same shit. It's the Jews. It's not the fucking Jews, man. It's very evil criminal people who happen to be Jewish, who hide behind unsuspecting Jewish people and say, if you criticize me, you're criticizing all of us. And that makes no sense. But then you look at their policies, like you were talking about the Bolshevik communist shit that they encourage everywhere else. But that shit steps one fucking inch on Israel soil. Oh, it's a fucking problem.
Right. And
right? You bring one boatload of migrants into Israel, fuck, that's a fucking problem.
Right.
Bro, so you have to ask yourself, and this has nothing to do with the Jewish population. This has to do with the leaders of that fucking country and what they're about, and the people here in this country who put the interests of that country above the interests of America.
Right.
And so we have to use our language in a better way than just saying, oh, it's this. Because then, that's an easy argument to diffuse. Bro, listen to this anti-Semitic dumbass, right? Like, no, dude. There's bad fucking white people. There's bad black people. There's bad Jewish people. And there's far more good of all three of those than there are bad.
And then what you're saying too, like Fox and a lot of these conservative papers will have people just like, you have to just like worship them, whatever, and don't think about it. And I notice because like my like audience sometimes will be like, don't say anything. And it's like, listen, I'm not anti any country. Like I'm pro America, but Israel, Palestine, China, like I don't hate China. Like Chinese people are awesome. There's great people everywhere.
Yeah.
But I read a Wall Street Journal article where a conservative member of Netanyahu's cabinet wrote in Wall Street Journal, and he said, America and Europe should take the refugees. They've already taken so many. Why don't they take them? And it's like, it's not a liberal. That's a conservative. And he's pro-Israel. He's Israel first because he lives in Israel. And he's just like, you take them. I don't want them. I don't like that as an American. It's like I understand why you're doing it, but like that, like what if we said that to them?
We don't want them either.
They wouldn't want to do that either. So I think like when you have an ally, it's always great to have allies, but you got to ask yourself like, what's the relationship like? Because if I wrote an article and I said you take them, I'd get called anti-Semitic 1,000 times. But he's getting a Wall Street Journal feature telling us to take migrants and Europe to take migrants, and it's like, bro, and these are the same people telling them all these Palestinians, they're all terrorists, they're all pro-Hamas, even the kids. So then you want all those terrorists to come to America and Europe? So it's...
Well, of course they do. Because they want to create a two-tier fucking system. They don't want America to be a powerhouse. They don't want Western Europe to be a powerhouse. They want to reduce everybody to third world nature and keep Israel the fucking shining mountain of an example on the hill. That's the fucking point. So like this isn't... It is what it is. I mean, like, you guys fucking call me whatever the fuck you want, but that's what's going on.
And I'll say this too, to like add on to what you're talking about, is it's all self-accountability because they're doing what they think is best for their country. It's not their fault even, it's our fault. Our politicians work for America, not their politicians. So it's like, why are our politicians doing that, and why can't people figure that out? Where, I mean, American, and Europe too, but like American politicians are just disgraceful. Like everyone should shame them and make them feel terrible, where it's like, you're supposed to serve us. They're doing what they think is best for them. I don't have to like that they wrote in the Wall Street Journal. It's kind of a scummy move, but it's like they're serving their people.
And we're not serving ours.
Yeah, why
that's
is
right.
It? So it's not get
their
mad
fault.
Or hate them. It's to get annoyed at our politicians. Like they should be more like Thomas Massey or anybody that says like, wait a second, like that's not it.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. I think that's a great point. It's not their fault. It's fucking our people's fault for allowing it.
And it's like America falling apart. It's like, is someone doing this or that, or the propaganda, whoever you want to blame? It's like, why are people doing it? Why are people allowing their families to turn into that? And, it's like everyone needs to take accountability. It's easy to blame, and it's like, that's where it's coming from. Okay, I get the news. I have a television. Why don't I do that? Because it's like, I control my life, and once you say no, you can do anything in this country. It's still a great country, but so many people play along to it, and then they play the victim. This is not, a victim like, oh, they're doing this or that. It's just like, yeah, no one in our party is really talking about it, but I know it's, it's hard to do certain things in politics. Even the richest people in politics, they have to take money. They have to play a different game. It's nice to be on a podcast and just not give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, taking like, playing politics, they're all like, but that's why people need to realize too that they're playing a certain role, like a middleman almost. Like you don't have to just follow what they're doing. And that doesn't mean you hate them or going to vote the other way. But once you start figuring it out, then the politicians go, oh, okay, they get it. Like,
yeah,
we gotta,
that's right.
We got to dial back
that's
a little
right.
bit. Or like even Kamala's like, we need policing. It's like, we do? You don't, now you like the police because it's election time? Gavin Newsom's cleaning up trash in California. Like, when people demand it, things start moving.
Guys, jumping on this conversation down in the comments, let us know what you guys think. With that being said, let's get to our final segment of the show. As always, we have thumbs up or dumb as fuck.
That's when we went to the moon.
Dude, dude, I hate conspiracy theories saying that that's not the moon, And like, yes, like
that's the moon.
Yeah, it's green sometimes. At night,
that's it. We got a Slurpee up there.
Got a couple of them.
Yeah.
This is where we bring a headline in. We talk about it. It'll get one of those two options. And so,
look at DJ's face in that picture. It says, "What do you mean that's not the moon?"
It's DJ Kubrick right
that's
there.
That's right. What you talking about? That's not the moon.
It's the moon. I was there.
Yeah.
Andy Armstrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
With that being said, our thumbs up or dumb as fuck headline reads, student fell asleep on field trip to courtroom and the judge put her in handcuffs. Little culture topic here. Now, it's not as harsh. I thought this was going to be like super fucking harsh. I'm like, all right, who's this? Let's check it out. All right. Let's see what we got here. And then make our decision. Here's the clip.
Of course, it's generating some buzz on social media. To give it a little context, Judge King saying that he was trying to send a message, a very strong message, to a 16-year-old girl and about a dozen kids that were with her on this field trip. His point in all of this was deter these kids from ever showing up in his courtroom for real, charged with the crime.
You fall asleep in my courtroom one more time, I'm putting you in the back, understood? You don't care? As soon as we bring the prisoner out, she can step back there.
A field trip to 36 District Court downtown Detroit this week turned into a scared straight simulation. A judge ordering a 16-year-old girl into jail clothes and handcuffs.
You're not fazed by this at all, are you?
Judge Kenneth King directing his questions to a 16-year-old girl who fell asleep twice in his courtroom, and when she woke, it was allegedly with an attitude, laughing and mocking.
So why are you being disrespectful to this court? Yes, ma'am. You sleep at home in your bed, not in court. And quite frankly, I don't like your attitude.
You can see at this point she's in jail clothes and handcuffs. The rest of the teens on the field trip behind her. They came with the nonprofit, The Greening of Detroit.
How old are you? You're old enough to know better. What is your problem?
I apologize.
Sources close to the situation tell us at this point, the back and forth turned into a simulation to send a message.
I'm thinking maybe she needs to go to the juvenile detention facility. You do understand that we have a jail for kids.
King reportedly said he never had intentions to send her anywhere, but went on to describe to the kids what it is like at the Detroit detention facility.
Not a very pleasant place to be in that. You guys enjoy your freedom, don't you? Yes. You don't have any freedom there.
Then he asked the teen.
That's where you want to go?
An actual attorney in the courtroom then steps in as if they were representing the teen.
She's nervous, doesn't do well with public speaking. Didn't want to necessarily speak today. I'm just tired. That's all.
It ended shortly after that, with everyone in the group going home. The Greening of Detroit says this in part: although the judge was trying to teach a lesson of respect, his methods were unacceptable. The group of students should have been simply asked to leave the courtroom if he thought they were disrespectful, adding the teen is traumatized.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna sue.
Now, there is an update in this case before we even get to our thoughts on this. That Judge Kenneth King has been temporarily removed from the bench.
Shut the fuck up.
And will not be hearing any cases at the moment. That's according to the New York Times. And he actually did an interview saying how he was never going to send. He could have sent the teen. He never thought or was going to follow through on it. He was trying to teach a lesson. But he is, at the time of this recording, has been temporarily removed from his bench. Guys, Andy, AJ, what do we got on this, man?
I mean, you wonder why people are fucked up and why they have no fear of accountability and why people think they can do and say and behave and burn shit down and disrupt and do all of this shit. The minute someone tries to teach this child a lesson, the other fucking soft people around the community are like, oh my God, that's abusive. Oh my God, that's wrong. Oh, she's traumatized. No, motherfucker, she's going to be traumatized when she's in actual prison because she doesn't respect the system or the laws or understand accountability. And to fucking remove this guy, this man from the bench for trying to make a difference in a young woman's life is absurd and reflective of where we are as a society. And it's why our communities look like shit. It's why you have 12-year-old kids walking up to grown adults and saying, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Sometimes kids got to learn lessons. You know, if I would have went up to an adult when I was a kid, like we see on Instagram and shit, and said something to a grown man, I'd fully expect to be smacked to the fucking ground. Didn't matter if it was my uncle or somebody I didn't know. Like, there was an understood respect that you had. And we don't have that anymore, right? That used to be that when young men had a difference, if it was that big of a difference, they had a fist fight. And you know what usually happened after the fist fight? They actually became friends because there's an amount of respect that happens in physical altercations. But most people don't know that because they've never been in one. And when we prevent these people, these young people, from learning lessons and having accountability, you're just kicking the can down the road to where this woman is going to end up. She's going to think when she does some real serious shit that she can flip it around on the cops or the courts in 3 or 4 more years. And where's she going to end up then? And where are all you do-gooders going to be then? You should have let this man teach her the lesson. It was harmless. She's not traumatized. You fell asleep in class. So what? He made a great point to all the students. Hey, I bet he picked. So I bet he was going to do that. That was probably part of the thing that he was going to do. It's absurd, dude. And it's the reason our shit's fucked up.
In this day and age, it's bold that he was doing that, knowing the consequences. But that guy is a good neighbor, a good person. Like, he's a father figure, and he's not in Detroit. He's not one of the bad ones. You could tell that, like, he's teaching him a lesson.
Right.
And it's sad. In LA County, they let people out of jail. There was a murder in Orange County recently at Fashion Island Outdoor Mall. They ran up on some lady, I think, like, tried to steal something, ran her over, killed her. Found out after that LA County, these, I don't know if they were 17 or 18 or 19, a few of them, they had stolen a Rolex. LA County, 0 days in jail. Lessons you have, even if it's 6 months or a year or 2 years, whatever it is, a month, 0 days. Oh, I could do that. I could go do that again.
Correct.
The murder would have never happened if they did that. So with this, especially in Detroit, especially knowing that I'm not going to, judge, but it's like, if you have a class of 20, 30 people, like they're not all good kids. Some of them are, but like maybe their parents aren't doing, I'm going to teach them a lesson. I'm going to be their father figure. I'm going to help them out in life. And then he gets canned and they're going to replace him with some idiot who's
going to let him do whatever.
It's just sad when good people like that get got. And that is not, in Detroit. It's like, that guy's not the problem. There's a lot of problems.
He's a solution.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
They stop the solution and fuel and fund the problem, and then stop anyone from fixing the problem.
Dude, he could have like that situation could have literally saved that little girl's life. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Like, it could have saved her life,
or someone else's,
or somebody else's. You know what I'm saying? And like, dude, this is sad shit. I thought. Honestly, because like we just...
Okay, well, here, look, dude, I'm going to say something, and some people are going to get pissed about it, but let's be real. The black community is the first people to come out and be like, that's bullshit, that's abuse, that's this, that's that. So what do you say about that?
Right. Well, my thing is...
Well, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if this was if this was here in St. Louis, the black community would be out, not all of them, but a sizable portion saying this is bullshit. So if the community thinks this is bullshit, but then they get upset when their communities are fucking filled with criminals and crime and shit. I mean, you can't have it both ways, guys.
No.
I have this conversation with my buddy all the time. It's like, if an Asian parent or an Italian parent or my parents, if I did some sort of crime or whatever it was, even if it was small, my mom would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You're grounded." Like they're more mad than the police.
Yeah.
In other communities where they literally not only don't get mad, but then gatekeep what happened and then stop people
mad at
like
the
this
police.
guy where he's like, I'm trying to be a good person in this. That's the problem. Like that's one of the biggest issues is like they're not other people like Asians. You don't see them committing many crimes in America, but their parents are like beat the shit or like ground them, whatever. But to not only not
they
stop
karate
the
chop
kids
them
from doing it, but then basically stopping anyone else from saying or thinking anything about it is just such a bad strategy. And like being honest about it is the nicest thing. And this guy, he could be on this podcast and he'd just be cooking. You know? He's just like, he'd be one of the real ones.
My point is that we have this segment of the black community who does this to teachers, they do this to cops, they do this to the court, and then they wonder why their kids are so fucked up. Like, bro, you got to let your kids face accountability. It's not always a race issue. It is, do you want your kids to grow up and be well-adjusted human beings, or do you want them to grow up thinking that they can do, say, behave any way that they want without repercussions, which isn't reality. So if you train a kid, because that's what we're doing when we raise a kid, we're training them. When you train a kid to grow up with no accountability whatsoever. And then they go out in the real world. They might not even realize that what they're doing is that big of a deal.
Right. Because they've been doing it all their life.
Correct.
Yeah, man.
And like, dude, it's fucked up, man. And like, dude, just speak like in an Italian family.
Yeah.
They're fucking, everybody takes turn beating your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. Probably that way in Bosnian too, huh?
100%.
Yeah.
When the riots happened, I mean, and it was a lot of people because it was mostly liberals, but in general, like, you know, I would say like the races were mixed in the riots. It wasn't just all black Americans, but like I'm thinking like that's the Thai store that I know, the family that has like $10 fire like specials. Like that's my coffee shop. Like what the fuck are you people doing? Like you're so stupid. Like this is our neighborhood. And you guys are just throwing a fit. And the crazy part about that was they just opened yesterday from all the lockdowns. Like I'm conspiratorial about that. It's like the day they opened, it's like, oh, there's a riot. Like, bro, are you guys? It's just crazy that people would do. I'm just like watching things burn, and I'm like, yo, that guy's fucked. That Greek guy probably worked so hard for 50 years, and
then he worked so hard the last 3 years to get it back, bro. We need men in these communities to stand up and lead. That's the problem. They're not standing up to lead because they're afraid they're going to fucking get backlash from their own community. And while you might, eventually those people are going to understand why you're right. And we need more men across all races, across all fucking identities, American men, whether they're black, white, whatever, it doesn't matter, Asian, Latino, I don't fucking give a shit. American men need to stand the fuck up and start speaking the truth about what's right and not being afraid of the backlash, not being afraid of what names you might be called, not being afraid of, you know, somebody on the internet might say, fuck all that shit. Bro, we're going to lose our country because we're losing our fucking kids, because we're not holding them and teaching them the realities of how to operate in society. And dude, it bothers me. It doesn't, like, I don't look at this and say, oh, that's, you know, black people. I look at that and say, that's fucking American culture, man.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, like, because of course in every neighborhood it's like you have thousands, tens of thousands of great people, and when people are like, oh, that's normal, it's like, I know the kid that's like going to school, like that's not good for him, it's not good for his mom, like that guy's like, let's get it right, and they're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I wanted to say real quick, I was thinking before, I just wanted to see what you think about it, where like COVID, it lasted from 2020 really almost like 2022, 2023. And I know it's a TikTok generation where people are just like on to the next thing. Oh, Trump got assassinated. Oh, Kamala, whatever. But I'm like, no one's even talking about it when they're running. And it's like they locked down, they printed all the money that caused the inflation. That's the number one topic. And you rarely hear Trump talk about it. You never hear Kamala talk about it because she has nothing to say. I'm like, how crazy is our generation that they don't even give a shit that they were locked down for 3 years in this election cycle. And that's like, and when I say that, even like conservatives are like, bro, it's not important. I'm like, kind of is.
I think it's
really important.
I actually think it's the most important thing that's happened in our entire lives.
It's the craziest thing. And all the inflation that JD Vance talks about and Kamala talks about, and
it all stems from that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like, and the fact that like when I'm like, but that's not going to win them the election, so they have to say what people want. But I just can't fathom that it was literally 2 years. Like I remember 2 years ago, they still had stuff locked down.
Yeah.
And they're basically acting like it's not even a top 20 issue.
Well, I think the reason it's being avoided is because there's culpability on all parties.
Both sides, for sure. That's definitely it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Trump could really boost his ratings by saying, "Yeah, I got fooled," and these guys fucking did this, and this is what really happened. But he's not doing that. I haven't heard him say anything about the vaccine in a while.
Even if he doesn't apologize, what if he just said like, they locked you down longer, they did more, like they locked you in your house.
Yeah.
And like I would say, like, say you live in an inner city, it's like these are the people suffering, not people with farms and Arnold Schwarzenegger in a hot tub. Like I've been to Brooklyn, Manhattan, like there's nowhere to go, like in these neighborhoods, and you're locking these people in for 2 years. Is that not a message that resonates with people? I don't know, but it's like no one talks about that shit, where I'm like,
no one even thinks about
like
that.
Like New York locked down for 2 years, like DeSantis opened, like she opened, our party opened, they locked down. They don't even think of that. I don't know if people wouldn't respond to it, or they just don't want to talk about it for accountability.
I think it does them no benefit to talk about it because they were responsible for different parts of it. I think it was crimes against humanity, and if it ends up being crimes against humanity, it could be severe accountability for these people. And I also think that the reason they don't talk about it is because it leaves open the option to be totalitarian with our control measures. So like if Trump were, this is a concern I have about Trump, like just being honest, one of the concerns I have is like, bro, you haven't addressed what the fuck you were a part of in some way, shape, or form. I don't like that.
Right.
And that doesn't make me feel good about Trump. Like, I'm voting for Trump too, but only because when I vote, the things that matter to me are economy, crime, the things that affect us on a daily basis.
Right.
And when we think about like what happened with COVID, that was crimes against humanity, dude. It's all we covered for the whole fucking time. I mean, I had every expert on the fucking show. We talked about all of it. We were right about everything. And, you know, I don't, I think that it's being avoided in case it's to be used again.
Right. Could
yeah. And that makes me nervous, dude.
It's just, I'm like, I feel like
couldn't
I'm
think
living
of
in like an alternate reality where I'm like, no, we're not going to mention that.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I think it's the accountability thing. And even with inflation, I'm voting for Trump. I think he's better for all these things. I think he's better on crime, even economy. But it's like, they can't say that. Like if JD Vance is going off and he's like, you know, we printed trillions of dollars during COVID and we fucked ourselves for 7 years. Democrats did worse, but we also had like a part of it to some extent. Like that's not like Kamala's the reason you're gas. And they did that to Trump in 2020 where they're like, Trump's killing people with COVID and Joe Biden. Like, what the fuck is Joe Biden going to do for your health? Like he's going to get, and it's just going to disappear. Like, but people believe that because they're like, this is bad. Trump's here, so it's bad. So they're doing that with Kamala. Like they're here. Inflation's through the roof. Her.
Yeah.
It's like kind of.
Yeah.
You know, but also kind of you guys fucked us with COVID.
Yeah,
like,
100% they did, dude. And like another thing to think about too, bro, that no one talks about is, you know, today there was an article online about all these restaurants closing all their locations, like iconic places that have been around for a long time. I think like IHOP closed hundreds of locations. Old Country Buffet closed all. Fuddruckers closed all. Like there's a bunch of restaurants, chains. It was this big thing I saw. And, you know, I'm speaking for myself, but I think, you know, COVID had behavioral implications on how people actually behaved in real life that we're seeing now. You know, they're not going out as much. They're not going to dinner as much.
Right.
They're not leaving the house as much. And when you think about so like when you're thinking and breaking down, like why would they do that? I always try to think, okay, what purpose does that serve?
Right.
Well, it does serve a purpose of all the big tech companies and all the companies who want you to sit at home and they want you to be fat and they want you to be sick and they want you to consume their data and they want you to eat their shitty food. Like, we have to understand that this play was run not just for the election, but for long-term behavior acclimation amongst the population. And it worked. Bro, I don't go to fucking dinner anymore. I don't go out and I keep to myself. And it, like, dude, it really taught me, and I hate that I'm saying this, but like it really made me not like people. Because like, dude, when you would go out in public and people fucking like
yelled at you.
Yeah, like who the fuck do you think you're talking to, bro? I'll knock your motherfucking teeth out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
1,000%.
We had all these fucking weak, sick people who've never had any power in their entire life screaming at people in public. Like, it was insane.
Everybody talks about the vaccine because it's like the obvious thing they put out, but like, let's talk about mental, psychological, financial. Like, these are the things that people don't talk about, but psychologically, of course, it ushered in, like, you're already, you know, don't go to work, stay at home, weakening people to like not like, and once you spend a year or two not going out, you naturally just like become more antisocial for multiple reasons. One, people treating you like shit, but also it's like if I stayed in for 6 months, I'd be in shitty shape and my mental health would be bad. 2 years, it's everyone's mental health is bad. It's impossible almost not to be. So yeah, it's that's the crazy part about them not talking about it too. I feel like politicians, that's part of the issue. Like when I talk about Trump, people will say like, oh, you're just hating on this or that. He's a culture leader. So when he says stuff, you go with it. And he's right about a lot of stuff, which is important, but that's part of the thing. They make this too little fight. And it's like they're leaving out the biggest thing that they fucked over humanity with over the last 3 years. And it almost seems purposeful. So it's not, I'm not telling people not to vote, but talk about these things, because that's part of, even like RFK, I'm not going to vote for him, but he talks about glyphosate and it's like, yo, they're spraying our stuff with shit and no one gives a fuck. Like at least he cares, but you know, it's like that injecting it into the conversation is important and not just like being like, look at, she laughs funny. It's like, for sure. And Biden's old as fuck and he's probably shitting his pants, but also this other stuff. So that's like, it's hard for people. They've been trained to be like, if you say this, you're this. And it's like, no, that's not right.
I totally agree, bro.
Well, guys, jump in on this conversation down in the comments. Let us know what you guys think, man. With that being said,
I think we all agree that's thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs
for
down,
sure.
for
Yeah,
sure. That's
yeah.
disgraceful.
I mean, it's Detroit. Yeah.
Send her to Guantanamo Bay. No, and all the teachers and liberals that are behind her, you know.
What you in for? Sleeping.
That guy needs I hope he gets like some love. You know, like some press love and
back
stuff.
in right now.
Right now.
Get him a show.
Yeah.
On Fox or something.
He come down here and be on the show.
Yeah.
What's his name? Judge what?
Kenneth King.
Judge King.
Oh,
that's a
fire.
powerful name.
Dude.
Yeah. Judge
God was
King.
like, I got
Yeah,
you, bro.
yeah.
King Dingaling. Yeah, he's
Shit,
gonna
man.
figure it out. But guys, Andy, AJ, that's all I got, man.
AJ, thanks so much for coming out, bro. It's always a pleasure to see you. You and I let's do a live or something, man.
Whenever.
Yeah, DJ and I are going to start a live stream, so we'll do yours and vice versa.
Anytime.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for contributing to the show, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. Don't forget to share the show and don't be a hoe.
Share the show.
Don't be a hoe or the F word.